Green Team Academy Podcast, Episode 54, my interview with Rose Thomas, founder and chair of the Green Valley Ranch Farmers Market in Denver, Colorado. Hey, are you ready to make a positive impact for the planet? If so, then you're in the right place. My name is Joan Gregerson, and I am an eco-nut. Thanks for joining me today, and don't forget to head over to the greenteamacademy.com website to pick up plenty of other resources to help you on your way. And with that, let's get started. Hey Green Team, what's up? Oh my gosh, it's so nice to be back again with you today. And it's summer and there's all kinds of outdoor events and gardening stuff and farmers markets, right? But your access to those kind of things really depends on where you live. Today we're going to be talking with Rose Thomas, who saw a need for something in her community and 4 years ago started the Green Valley Ranch Farmers Market. But let's talk a minute before I introduce you about that whole idea. So where I live, which is just east of downtown Denver in Colorado, within 3 miles, so walking distance, I can get to a Whole Foods, Natural Grocers, Trader Joe's, King Soopers, Safeway, and Sprouts. And I also, to add to that bounty, there are also farmers markets. So there's one in Cherry Creek that goes on Sundays and Wednesdays, and there's one at East High School that goes, that was Saturdays and Wednesdays, and the one at East High School goes on Sundays. So I'm just surrounded with all these healthy, nutritious food options. So we're going to contrast that to where Rose has been living for 20 years in the Green Valley Ranch area. That I just looked and it said the population is about 30,000 people. Right now they have one King Soopers there. And I believe that serves some of the surrounding communities. I don't know if there are other supermarkets there, but there's 120,000 people in the far northeast area. So they have plenty of fast food and gas stations, convenience stores, liquor stores. And so that is the definition of a food swamp. So a food desert means there's very little access to fresh food. A food swamp says, not only that, but there is access to low quality food instead. So Rose saw this need. She was hoping somebody else would jump in and take the lead, and nobody did. So she went ahead and started on this. So you're going to hear about how she's been able to use a lot of her skills, I think, and this is a good thing for all of us to know. If you have skills in the working world, kind of corporate type of project management skills, whether you worked at a nonprofit, anything like that, you could take those same skills and work on a project where you have no background whatsoever, just like Rose has done. And the other thing I want to mention is that she's been able to build this thing that's a community experience, bring in all these different partners and showcase local vendors. There's still a challenge to get those local produce vendors. So produce, meat, eggs, flowers, herbs, those kind of folks to commit to being there at the farmers market. So if you happen to know anybody that might want to participate in that Green Valley Ranch, she's working out a very good deal for folks to come in to make sure that is being provided to the community. But she's got this idea to start where you can, so building this community experience, which then will be more attractive for bringing in more of those produce types of vendors. All right, so with that, I'm going to turn it back over to my interview. I sat down and talked with Rose on June 10th, 2019. So just a week ago at this point. And I think you're really going to enjoy hearing about this journey. And so with that, let me turn it over to that interview. Tell us a little bit more about your connection to Green Valley Ranch and what your role is there.
Definitely. Thanks so much, Joan. It was probably around 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago. A few of us had been talking about our frustration with the lack of a farmer's market and options for local fresh produce in the area. And we were complaining that we had to drive 20, 30 minutes or more further out to get to one of these type of markets. And we kept encouraging other people to see if they would start a market. A few years later, nothing really came to fruition on that. After talking with some others, and especially my husband, who's a huge support, I finally decided I'm just going to throw caution to the wind and try to start a market out here and see where it goes. And sure enough, 4 years ago, we did our first year, and it was a lot of lessons learned, but we were able to really build on that each year, and now we're entering our fourth year.
Wow. That's, I love the story too, because that seems how it always starts, is like, isn't somebody going to do this? And then you finally figure out, oh no, I'm somebody, I guess. So before we get too far, tell us a little bit about Green Valley Ranch as a community. Where is it? What's kind of the makeup, and why, like, what's around there that you don't have that many healthy options? What do you have, and what did you see missing?
Sure. Green Valley Ranch is, I like to explain it that we're about 10 minutes of the Denver International Airport. So we're out in the northeast area, and our overall area is actually referred to as the far northeast area, and that includes Green Valley Ranch, Montbello, Gateway, High Point, and the Denver International Airport area. When we moved out here about 20 years ago, we were surrounded by fields, which was beautiful because you get the scenery of the mountains, you had fields, flowers, and cattle. But over the years, things have developed, and there's been a lot of housing and other type of things, a little bit of retail. And we really only finally got one grocery store probably around a decade ago. And of course, it can't handle the amount of people that are in this community. So again, a lot of people end up driving even further out to get more access and more variety and that type of thing. There is plans hopefully in the next 10 to 20 years, but in the meantime, we were hoping to fill a gap and not only bringing the produce and some of the local products and services to be more accessible to the community, but it was also really about building community, that sense of community and connection with one another out here.
And so so what is your role with the farmers market? Is the farmers market, is it something you started through the neighborhood organization? Or,
yes,
because again, I think people are always wondering like, how do I do this? And how do I reach out to people? And it sounds like you had a little bit of a platform to build off, to be able to connect or to reach out to people.
yes. Initially, I put together a rough business plan in terms of what we would need for bare minimum to get the market off and running. And it really involved some signage, some basics from an administrative situation, some general insurance, things like that. So with that, we took that very small amount that would be needed to start the market, and then we followed up with 3 of our quasi-governmental metro districts and HOAs to get their initial support. So they helped support the initial funding of the market 4 years ago, which was really minimal. It was $400 for each of them. And from that, we were able to basically then become self-sustainable with the minimal fees that we charge the vendors. And it has been growing every year, and we've been able to increase the benefits to the community because it's all 100% volunteer led. So all the money goes back into the market and the community.
Wow. So that's a really interesting model. So you looked at that. That's kind of crazy that you can start a farmer's market for that small of money. Um, so, and I guess by doing it as a volunteer organization, you are able to do that. And so is the farmers market, is it a separate business then, or is it
It,
a
it's
part
still
of?
a yeah, it's still a subset of the GVR South HOA. So it's basically conducted under that, but it is its own separate entity within that organization. So there's separate financials that get presented to the board each year and things like that. But basically, all of the money that is put back into the market is generated by the market.
Okay, so you had this idea, you started with the business plan, you went and got that initial small amount of funding, and then so what year was that, and how did your first launch go? How did you even know where to start, or what was that first year must have been pretty interesting.
It definitely was. That was back in 2016, and it was a little bit of a guessing game. I was able to connect with a couple people from different organizations, the Metro Districts and the HOA that I had mentioned before, as well as the Green Valley Ranch Citizens Advisory Board, the Sustainability Neighborhoods from Denver, and the Council Gilmore's office as well. We had all of representatives from each of these areas get together and just share ideas and feedback and get together a rough plan of how we could get this thing off the ground and running. And we did that over the course of a couple months, and then we basically threw caution to the wind and kicked it off in the month of April, which again was one of those lessons learned. And again, I don't think it should ever stop anybody from trying, because you'll learn from the things that don't work well, so you can make those adjustments the subsequent year or time frame and make things even more successful. But one of the early lessons we learned is that in a farmer's market, you get your vendors booked no later than January, February timeframe at the latest for the summers. So if you're trying like we were in the timeframe of April, you were hitting a lot of roadblocks because most vendors were already booked for their farmers market that year. But we were creative and we were persistent, and we were able to get a total of 10 vendors throughout that first year.
And so what is your qualification for when you're looking for vendors? What's your goal?
Our goal, we always try to focus and give priority to folks that are offering local, fresh produce, products, handmade, that type of product and service. However, we don't want to necessarily turn away other vendors that are providing services to the community and can make it more convenient by bringing those folks to the market as well. And again, they help to provide support for other amenities that we were able to provide through the farmers market.
Okay, so that first year, so you got 10 vendors signed up. And so did the farmers market start then in June, or what was that your first day like then at your farmers market? Paint us a picture.
Yeah, it was quite interesting. We decided to start the market in cooperation or organize it on the same day as a free community concert that was sponsored by Oakwood Homes for Green Valley Ranch at the rec center in the amphitheater, so that we could hopefully leverage the folks that were coming in for that. So people were coming for the concert anyhow, and then they noticed a few of these tents, and word started to get around that, oh, we're starting a farmer's market. And it was an overwhelming positive response from the community, the excitement. Even though we only had a handful of vendors, they were so excited. They were swarming those few vendors. They probably did better than they'd ever done at any market at any time, because there was so much interest for it. But by and large, folks were like, we know there's not produce immediately, and definitely we'll work on getting that. But the few vendors that were there did really well and were well received by the community.
So that's a good tip as people are thinking about these things. Instead of trying to get people to go somewhere that they're not used to going, you built off something where people already were. That was probably a really really good idea. So what are some of the tips that you have figured out for getting the produce? Because that sounds like it's one of the more, I don't know, time consuming or difficult or something more challenging is to get those produce vendors into
Yeah,
the
and
farmers market.
it's a little bit of a chicken and an egg situation because you want to get the folks there to show up to purchase from the vendors, but you have to get the vendors there to have the people show up to want to buy things. Um, but it's really about trying to find some um, incentives, especially early on, where maybe you let the vendors come in for no fees initially for the first few weeks until you start to build up more of the patronage. And or this year we're also looking at we've contacted probably close to 20 different farmer vendors because of course we still want to get more produce and variety out to the community, but we're also looking at maybe just having focused days of the market where certain produce is available that we can really promote in advance so people could come out and get those specific things versus not being able to have that specific produce variety at every single market.
Mm. Oh, that's great. And as you said, like there's really no way you could know this stuff ahead of time. You just have to just start and then see what happens and then go from there. And it sounds like you're being very innovative, very creative doing that. And the other thing I wanted to talk with you about, so the way that I met Rose is that she's part of the Green Team Accelerator Lab. So this is 20 people that signed up this year to be part of this mentoring program, this incubator, to see if they could start or grow their teams to be even more impactful. And so that's where I met Rose. And so along with the sustainability, I mean, a farmer's market already is a sustainability initiative, but you've decided this year to take that one step further with these sustainability themes. So can you tell us a little bit about how that went? Because I think, again, I've had that experience of trying to do monthly sustainability talks, and to get people to come to that talk, to wherever that place is where they're not used to going, you don't always have that big of a response. So now you got them used to coming there. So tell us a little bit about this sustainability theme idea.
Sure. So 4 years ago, when we started the market and got to 10 vendors, the next year we liked having the music. We wanted to expand the music. So we were able to use the proceeds of the market to actually expand live music to all markets the second year. And then the third year, we thought, what else can we do to help attract people to the market? And we were able to incorporate an HOA sponsored free family activity such as face painting, caricature, henna. And again, each of these things, we continue to get a lot of positive feedback, which I think encourages all of the volunteers that are really trying to make this bigger and better every year. And last year, we had 3 markets where we had a sustainability focus. And one of them was honeybees and pollination and the benefits of honey and the benefits of having the bees and insects be able to pollinate, etc. So we wanted to really take that to the next level. And we thought, instead of just expanding that by 1 or 2 markets, let's just identify a theme for every single market and put forth effort to try to get community partners engaged to provide more information to the community, and then really leveraging Facebook and social media to get the word out so that people that are interested in certain areas or maybe not familiar with those areas at all could easily come to the farmers market, enjoy the atmosphere, connect with the community, get some local produced products, and find out more about sustainability.
That's so smart. That's a really great idea. And I know from talking with you a little bit about this, so the model is so for 1 or more of those folks to give them a free or reduced fee booth so that they can come out and have that education, bring that additional value to people. And yeah, and speaking more about like the just kind of the magic of collaboration. So part of the Green Team Accelerator Lab, folks there started this idea of the Denver Compost Challenge. And so then I posted that on this new meetup. I'll leave the link there. A volunteer saw that and was like, that's cool. And she's like, I want to do more. So then she came out and volunteered with Rose. And then there's other people out there, EcoCycles, part of our lab. And then Denver Urban Gardens is out there teaching about composting. And so, yeah, it is this virtuous cycle. But when you open those opportunities for people, you're never helping someone else without it somehow flowing back to help you, I think. Yeah. And so how did you find the actual site? I'm just trying to think through all the different questions that people might have if they were thinking of doing something like this themselves. So how did you come up with the actual place where you could hold the farmers market?
We just kind of went through the area and thought, okay, what could actually hold the volume of people that we expect to be at the market? And what type of environment would be enjoyable for people to come, what could handle the parking, etc. And that's really where the first thing that came to everyone's mind when we had these initial meetings was the local rec center, because that has a beautiful amphitheater and lake, and there's already concerts that occur there, and there's a beautiful tree-lined walkway. And that was the other thing that we learned too. The first year we had it along the front of the sidewalk of the entrance where there are no trees, and it got very hot in the middle of summer. And then later that season, we moved it to along the walkway where there's a lot of trees and shade, which made it, of course, more enjoyable. But our eventual goal is to expand all the way around the lake. We're only at a very small portion of the lake right now with that walkway, but our end vision is to have that lake surrounded by vendors and the community farmers market.
That's interesting and that's really, it seems like a blessing in your community to have such a gorgeous spot with the lake and the walkway and the rec center.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. And in addition to that, they'll be expanding the rec center with an indoor pool. It was part of the Denver Bond program, or the Denver Bond that got passed. So that's just another thing that's going to hopefully attract more people to that area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so when you said, I just wanted to go back to the beginning where you said that people were saying, we're having to drive 20 or more minutes away to find good variety of fresh food. Is Green Valley Ranch considered, where does it fall on the idea of a food desert or a food swamp? And what do those terms really mean to you as you're thinking about this?
Yeah, we definitely, and again, I don't think about it as just Green Valley Ranch. I think about it larger as the far northeast area. But yes, it's definitely considered a food desert area where there's not easy walkable access to a store that has fresh products and produce and that type of thing for the community. So it was really an opportunity to start something like that, hopefully be able to bring more to the community, and then really, as I said before, to hopefully engage the community more, because when we all come together and share information and ideas, we're just going to hopefully spark innovation and motivate one another to really start. And it doesn't matter what it is, any little thing. You have an idea, start it yourself. Other people will start to be attracted to those things that are going on, and they'll want to get involved, and slowly but surely you'll make it bigger and better.
There is something magical about farmers markets. I mean, I remember that one year I had a family member come out and visit, and we went to all different kinds of cool and touristy places around. And the one that was the most memorable was the farmers market. And it is just like that thing that really gives the local, like literally the local flavor, to show what, the kind of all the love and the things that are growing and the cool things that people are creating right there, that are specific. I think it's like kind of the anti big box store.
Yes, yeah. And one of the, I think my most favorite things about the Green Valley Ranch area and the far northeast area is we are one of the most diverse in Colorado, not just Denver. And to see that type of community come together and just enjoy the environment and be able to give back to the community, it's a wonderful thing.
And your farmers market is on Wednesdays. So yeah, tell us a little bit about the schedule. Like, when is it open? When is the start and end date, and where can people find you?
Definitely. The farmers market is held on Wednesdays from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's at the Green Valley Ranch Rec Center outside in the front. Again, a beautiful walkway, tree lined with a beautiful lake and amphitheater. We have live music every day at the market, as well as a free family activity. And you could definitely come out, not only hopefully try some different local products and services that are available. There's food trucks to enjoy food where you can sit down, listen to some music, and enjoy a free family activity as well. And most importantly, learn about some sustainability focus that we have each week. Last week was wonderful about composting. We learned about backyard composting, the Denver Compost Challenge, and some other organizations like EcoCycle. And then the next week will be recycling. We have water conservation, we have mobility, we have so many different topics. You can look again on the Facebook page at GVR Farmers Market for more information each week on what to look forward to.
How are you, what if there's somebody that wants to, it's like, wow, I want to be part of this? How, instead of just showing up there, but they maybe want to volunteer or be part of your team somehow, what opportunities do you have?
We have opportunities for everyone and anyone, regardless of what capacity you want to serve in. We can find something for you, whether you want to be active at the market and engage with the community and provide information, or if you want to do more behind the scenes of locating additional vendors and community partners to get engaged and involved in the market. So whatever your passion is, we can find something to help you fill that and give back to the community. And you can, again, reach out to us on Facebook, or my email address is also on all the flyers that are posted there.
Okay, great. And I will post those there as well. And so if there's somebody who finds out about this, it's maybe not during the farmers market time, can they also, do you have things happening throughout the year, or what would you recommend as far as if they want to do something around sustainability in that area?
I would love to connect with them. I've actually now connected probably with half a dozen people in the far northeast area that are really passionate about one or multiple areas of sustainability. So I could definitely get them connected with some people, or just provide them with some more resources and support to help them get whatever initiative they want to get started.
So if there are people that are living somewhere and they're maybe saying, like you were saying, like, gosh, somebody should do this, what would be your advice? Because certainly you've gone through some lessons learned. So if somebody was to get on the phone with you for a few minutes and say, what should I do? Where should I start? What would you advise?
I would recommend they just move forward with whatever effort or initiative they want to do. And it's really, especially with the internet access and information we have readily available at our fingertips, there's a lot of information you can reference and resource. I mean, Green Team Cafe is another great reference and resource. There's so many people out there. Whatever your interest or passion is, get connected with some other people, because it is always easier to do something when you're doing it with others. But at the very least, don't let that stop you. Start, and don't look at it as, I wasn't the 1,000% successful. Look at it as, you definitely learned some lessons so that you can incorporate those things and make them better the next go around. That might be the next day, the next week, the next month, or the next year. But you're learning more and you're getting better, and you're just making things better for the community and the environment.
From what I see that you did is I see that you took that initiative. So that's the first thing, is just do it. And and then the other was going out and forming those partnerships. And the other thing, like, I also like that your business plan and figuring out how much money, this is something I tell people a lot, is I think sometimes people plan first, like they go, oh, but we don't have the money. Like they try and start with the resources they have and then make a plan to fit. And what you did was, which I think is the more effective way, is you start with a vision, and then once you decide on the vision and you've got that solid vision, then you say, what do we need to make that happen? And then go find it. And that is, so that was a great part of that. And then I think also just like this continuously innovating, so bringing in music and getting more vendors and changing the location from one area to another just so that it's more enjoyable, and then also bringing in the sustainability theme and more folks. So I think there's so many different parts of that you're just crushing it with. So those are all good tips for someone else to do. All right. So any other little parting, is there anything that we forgot before we wrap up here?
No, I think we covered it all. And again, I would encourage, if anyone is in the area of Far Northeast area or Green Valley Ranch, to come out on a Wednesday evening, check out the farmers market, and enjoy the community environment we've established.
That I'm going to put all those links in the show notes. So there'll be links to the farmers market, to how to get a hold of Rose, to the sustainability themes, all the different things that we mentioned, you'll be able to find there. All right. So thank you so much, Rose, for joining us. And remember, everybody, the time for action is now, because there is no planet B. Thanks, Rose. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Well, that's it for another episode of the Green Team Academy podcast. Remember to check out all the resources to help you make a positive eco impact in your community at greenteamacademy.com. Thanks so much, and see you right back here soon.